love it. That's right. The groovy music, smooth sounds of the Professional Dad Podcast. Whoa! I wasn't supposed to cut the scene that soon, but oh well, it happens.
Thanks for bringing us in, Doc.
Yeah, anytime. I'll send you the bill.
Yeah.
Who's running
What's
the show
up,
tonight?
everybody? What's
New
All
night,
up?
who this? New night, who
We're
this?
live. We are live, guys. Welcome. What episode is this, Doc?
This is number 4.
Number 4. We're coming live, streaming with some friends. We brought another dude along to join us. We're going to give him space in just a second. But episode 4, we're talking about balancing career ambitions without sacrificing the family. And they picked me to lead us off. I don't know why, because I am king of the non-sacrifice. Hey, but look, man.
Volunteer for this one.
I don't know how.
Volunteer for this one.
I have no idea. But look, we've got some great topics to come out on Radio Land this evening. But before we get started, we got a new dad that's joining us all the way from Nash, Vegas. Jeremy Kearns, introduce yourself, brother.
Hey, everybody. Jeremy Kearns, Nashville, Tennessee. I got a 3-year-old. I got a little one, so I'm fairly new at the dad thing. So I'm going to try to learn tonight and contribute. How about that?
I heard that. Well,
like
we're glad to have you on. We know you got a lot to say. You may think you don't, but you do. You're down here with a community of stars here, and we're really excited. But look, it's kind of crazy. The topic and the intro has nothing to do with the topic. I'm gonna tell you, I like to go to the circus. I'm just gonna let y'all know that off the jump. But I like going to the circus because what amazes me about the circus is that you see these clowns and jugglers and all kinds of things perfecting their craft.
Where we going with you? Whoa.
Wait a minute. Am I funny? I'm funny like a clown? I'm here to amuse you. I amuse you. How am I funny? Why are you talking about clowns over there, huh? Go get your shine box.
But what they do, man, they look like they're just so effortless in what they're doing, man. It's like they got it together and whatnot. Like they got it all figured out. They're throwing those jugglers. Y'all have ever seen them throwing those pins up in the air? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look like they're professional. I don't know how they do it, but I can't figure it out. And so I'm trying to figure out how do they perfect their craft. And so tonight we're gonna be some clowns. We're gonna get it in together. We're gonna talk about this stuff.
Well, we got Josh on here, so that's true. Go
I'm
ahead.
here. You know, like the Pied Piper of clowns.
Yeah, so we're gonna figure this thing out, but we're gonna kick it off. I got a question for you. Like, am I the only clown in the circus? And I'm gonna tell you what I feel sometimes, because when it gets to be 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I see people walking out the door, maybe I'm old school, but sometimes I'm like, where are they going? Like, it's still work to be done. You know, where's everybody going? Or it might be like February, March, September, October, and I'm seeing people taking off for a week, going on vacation. I'm like, why am I here still grinding? And I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I get in my feelings like, wait a minute, why is everybody else having fun and I'm sitting around still here in the office? And so it's a sacrifice work. It sometimes feeling like I'm on the only clown here. So I'm going to ask you, jump us off right. Is career climbing important? What's the purpose for career climbing?
Wow. That's a
deep
I
question.
mean, I think that's internal. I think if career climbing is where you want to go, then sure, it should be important to you. Once you have a family, which is why we're all here, we're all dads, then you have to figure out either how to balance it or what's more important at that time. And you've got any range of ages, but I think climbing is important for certain people, and other people it's like, hey, we're just going to go. Those people that are leaving at five, there's people that work in my office that follow me and stuff, so I'm not going to talk about them. I'll talk about another place I used to work, like 5 o'clock, like not where I
but
work
it's really
right
the same
now,
place.
like,
Yeah.
on the daily, but like used to could back in the day, but like 5 o'clock hits. And I'm in the insurance world. So 5 o'clock hits and it's like, let's go. 5:03, 5:04. It's like, Josh, you rolling? No. Or if I roll, then I'm going to come home and I'm going to work. So I'm with you. It's like, what am I missing? Or probably the better question that we're all here, professional dads, is what are they missing? And how do we enlighten them or throw some help their way so that they can balance like we do, because we're overachievers. Clearly, Eric, you're an overachiever.
That's
I left at 5 every day, but I got in at 5 in the morning.
That's because they told you had to leave at 5. Like this guy
That's
had
right.
to go.
There's a huge difference when you're spending literally half a day at work.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
But I think the answer is multifaceted. You know, there's so many different reasons why it's important to climb, you know, or why you need to. We need to obviously provide for the family, right? That's number one, first and foremost. But you got to have a way to satisfy that inner drive and that desire as well. You know, you have to set goals. You have to make not only your family happy, but you have to satisfy your needs as well. So, you know, that's important, but that balance portion is probably more important than anything else. And I'm guilty. I've been guilty of that in the past, man. I've been really bad about it.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump in right here today because this is real timely for us. Like we had a conversation about work-life balance, and so I think that's probably the trend going around. So that's why them people are leaving at 5 because they in balance. Nah, I'm joking.
They on the balance side, the more life side.
Yeah,
they're
really way balanced. But I guess I come from a different frame of reference because I don't believe that there's any such thing as work-life balance, probably in a traditional sense that we would all like on first blush think it to really mean. I think work-life balance is conversations that you need to have within the family. Because in my role as a former educator, I can say that now, or well, I'm really a still educator
at heart.
But yeah, at heart. But with that, there's going to be seasons, there's going to be peaks, there's going to be valleys of time where I'm going to need to dedicate my attention to my professional role. And but I think where the misnomer comes into play is are you effectively communicating that at the house? Like, does your wife understand that? Now, I'm at a very vantage point because my wife's a teacher. So she understands the ebbs and flows, may not like them, and will tell me when she doesn't like them. However, you know, she understands the cadence of the school year and what that has to give and what that has to, or what it is affected by. So to me, I think I don't necessarily believe in work-life balance. I believe it's more like a rubber band with elasticity. And we have to be able to stretch it out and bring it back. And some days, yeah, you can dip at 5. Some days you might even dip at 3:35, you know, depending on what the schedule will allow. But other days you might have to grind, or you might have to put it in until 7 o'clock. Yeah. Or if an emergency comes up, then you have to handle that too. But you, as a dad, as a leader, as someone who every decision that we make affects our household, we have to be very communicative and make sure that we are communicating with our families to understand exactly what the time frame and the nature is that we is going to be required from us from our nation from our family. Excuse me.
Sorry, but you landed on this show tonight.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Hey, look,
but stick around. You might learn something.
That's right. That's right. You might learn something. But hey, look, I believe in the grind. You know, that's just me personally. You know, like we all know, I'm a pilot and I fly, you know, but I always say that that's my side gig. I'm an entrepreneur also. And this whole Convene Communities platform is mine. And so I know in my mind that, Convene goes as I go. If I drive and I grind and I'm working and I'm visible and I'm out there and I'm seeing people and making things happen, then everybody else comes along with me. When I disappear, the train comes to a halt sometimes, you know, and that's just true. So, but I love what I do. I love being, doing these things. I love interacting with people. I love being on the calls with people. At the same time, I do have to find that time to, hey, it's time to turn it off, because honestly, I enjoy what I do so much that I could not turn it off. I mean, Josh knows that. We talk about it. I could not turn it off because I just love it. I love what I do.
We talked 76 times today. I looked at my call record.
Yeah.
76 times today. Matt and I. Like, we both ain't got a full-time job.
And
76 times.
Yeah. That's right.
And that's
like, it doesn't even include our text.
No.
Or like back and forth messenger, right? Like, bruh, this me, like all the memes and all the,
Yeah.
I'd love to see what those conversations like. It's me again. You have to call your name out.
Hi. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
But yeah, it's part of it, you know, and it is finding that balance, and you know, and being able to step back from it when you need to.
So I was looking at this study from UMA Technology. It said 67% of working fathers claim they struggle to balance work and being available for their children. You agree with that? 67% is a pretty large number.
That's a big number right there.
I'm not sure I agree with that. And I'll take myself as a case study in this situation. For 2 decades, I'm like Matt. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I know how to do is grind. Like my pops was a welder. You know, he used to come home burnt every single day. So I thought the only way, and plus I listened to Gary Vee growing when I started my professional career. So I thought the only way to make it was to hustle and grind, right? Well, I grind for 2 decades and achieved all these different accolades in other spaces, but at home, I wasn't doing anything. And so like it took my wife and my kids to tell me, they was like, look, you think you doing this for us? Right, so you doing that for yourself.
Who you are. When you walk in, we're like, who that?
Oh,
Let's let the new guy talk. Y'all gonna let the new guy talk?
Yeah,
I mean, what's going on?
I want to hear what Jeremy got to say on this.
Don't know why I was invited. I can't get a word in edgewise.
Jeez, Timo.
Fun watching y'all. Now, you know, I was going to answer the question and say, yeah, to your point, what's your why? And is the why, is it to provide for the family, or is it about you at the end of the day? Is it about the ego stroke or the self-fulfillment? Not that some of that's not important. I think it's important that as a man that you feel that you stay healthy, right? Sure. Like you feel like you're making a difference. You feel like if climbing is what you want to do. But I think that's different for everybody. I think back, I've been in sales leadership most of my career. And, you know, and I subscribe to the grind like you guys. I guess it sounds like it's kind of the prevailing thought. But when I first got started in sales, we'd spend literally 14 to 16 hours a day on the road. That's how I viewed the world. That was my mentor. That was what he did. That's what I thought you had to do to be successful. But then I fast forward, you know, when you're married, it's a little different. And, you know, I realized at one point there was about a 3 or 4 year period where I'd wake up in the middle of the night. I didn't know what city I was in. Right. And I got so used to being on the road, I didn't know how to function back at home.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where, if I'm honest, and it's not a badge of honor, I was more comfortable being away from home than I was being at home. And I had a friend say to me one day, he said, you know, being on the road lends itself to absolute selfishness. And when you're on the road that much, because you don't have to answer to anybody, you do what you want to do when you want to do it, eat what you want, watch what, you know, like, you know, and you gotta really guard that. So I think you got to ask, what is the real why? And yeah.
Funny story that you said that, Jeremy, because I travel all the time. I'm a pilot, right? So I'm in hotels all over the place, and I'm a man, so I had to get up and go to the damn bathroom every night.
He's over 50, y'all.
I'm over 50, so I had to go to the bathroom. But I literally one night got up, got so used to, I was in this one hotel, and you got up, you walk down the little way, and you go to the right into the bathroom. Got up, walked down to the right. Next night I went in, and I daggone went to turn to the right and almost ran into the damn wall. What the hell? I'm like, this is stupid. But I'm always gone.
I thought this was going to end a different way. You turned left and went into another room. We were all.
I'm talking the hotel rooms I stayed in. You go down the hall and take a left, like you another.
Right, exactly. So I opened the door with
man, I didn't know where you was about to take that story.
No, man, it's like what Jeremy said. You know, when you're going and you're in a hotel after hotel after hotel, man, it's like Groundhog Day. And that's what I feel like sometimes. I feel like when I'm on the road and I'm flying and I'm going city to city and staying in hotel to hotel, it's like Groundhog Day. But you're right. You know, you get into a groove and all that. And then the problem is I come home and then I grind. Because if I've been gone, I tend to be in my office all the time, you know, and working hard on Convene and everything like that. And it's like, okay, you got to take a break, man. You got to sit back. And I think I found a balance, to be honest. But, you know, for me and my wife and all that, you know, I tend to cut it off and we try to go, you know, spend time together and eat and all that stuff. And
we usually talk 100 times a day, but it's been a little bit less since Matt's home.
Yeah.
She kept that dating relationship that we have. So
Yeah. Yeah.
watching,
Yeah. That's
I'm
right.
ready for Matt to go out of town too.
That's right.
No, but I think
Go ahead,
you
go ahead,
guys
go
said
ahead.
it like with the grind. Like you can tell, like, look, it's 9 o'clock at night. We all have kids or families or whatever, and we're grind. Now, this is a different grind, obviously, to help others. But the big thing is, all right, when do you grind? Jeremy said it. What's the why? And then how do you balance the two? Maybe not a work-life balance like Devo, because I'm with you, Devo. Like the work-life balance thing, I can work, insurance world or online social media or whatever any of us do. You don't have to. If anybody's, man, I said it, they're probably watching. I don't need to work 40 hours a week to do what it is that I need to do to be successful. I can work smarter. I can work after hours. Like I'm up till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I don't sleep, up early doing whatever, but there's that normal traditional, hey, you have to be in the office to know you're working hard. Like you said, hey, I gotta work. My dad's got to come home burnt or beat up or clothes dirty or whatever to know he's working hard. That's not necessarily the case. It's about that working harder, not harder. And I don't know the last time that I did manual labor. That's not something that's in my vocabulary for anything other than if I have to walk to get
This
my
freaking
food in
guy.
the kitchen, like that's manual labor to me. But you've got to figure out the balance of how to work smarter and get into that grind.
If
and
that's
shut
the
it off.
case, what do you call it when you take a shit? Good God.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Well,
Here we go.
radio
Correct.
land, we have just put another letter on this, so now we've gone from G to PG. And we're trending. Doc is back. We're trending.
Leave it to Doc.
We're trending.
No.
Hey, if for what it's worth, this is actually me behaving.
I was like, Doc's being good tonight, y'all. He's doing his thing.
Hey, before we transition, though, I do want to ask, because Jeremy talked about it in terms of developing that why. But how do you know when you got there? We are talking about career climbing and some of the sacrifices we make to for our families. But is it position? Is it title? Is it money? Is it influence? Is it zip codes? It's
Yes.
what
Yes.
is?
Yes, all that.
All of that.
I'll tell you what it was for me. And you guys are going to laugh, but I am 100% serious when I say this. Retirement. I made it. Look, I worked my ass off. I retired, and now I have the freedom to do what I want to do things with the family. All those years in the military when I didn't have a choice, when I was gone, missing birthdays, missing holidays, missing everything. So to me, that's how I know. I like to say I won. I won at life.
True.
I'm 54 years old and retired.
Yeah.
So Doc, so what was it worth the trade-off for you? Because I think this is a different answer for everybody, meaning, right, you sacrificed something, right? You're always giving up something for something else. Was that trade-off worth it to you to miss the birthdays and those things?
1000%.
Yep.
And it's a whole different
Is he serious? Like that's what I'm trying. Like
I don't know if he's being serious.
reasons why.
Jeremy's asking a loaded question. He's about to take out a notepad.
Look, so I'll be real with you. I joined the Navy not for college. I joined solely because I wanted to serve my country. Now I never thought I'd be in as long as I was, but yes, it was worth it because, like some of you guys, I'm on my second marriage, and my kids are younger. I've got a 13 and a 14-year-old. So fortunately, I didn't miss out on a whole lot. I missed out on things, but with having kids later on in life, it was kind of easier in a way.
Doc, that's not the story you told me. You told me you joined the military because the judge said you had to.
it was
Well,
this or that.
You want to go
Serving my country or serving time, I chose serving my country. Johnny Cash ain't got nothing on me.
We thank you for your service either way.
Right. Thank you for your
Thank you.
service. But I'll go. So I did when my daughter just turned 19 last month, and I have my son will be 15 in a couple months. So the first 2 years of my daughter's life, I was doing mortgages she was born in 05. So 05 to 09 or 04 to 09, I was doing mortgages right before the recession. It was crazy. I was making stupid money. I was, 20 some years old, making more money than what I could know what to do with, and spent it like it was going to keep on coming. And I worked I worked 8 to 8 every single day, Monday through Friday. And then Saturdays I would go in and I would be there from 9 to 4, 9 to 5. I missed out on a lot of the first 2 years of her life. It wasn't worth it to me. It wasn't. It doesn't matter the money to me then. In the moment it was there because it was, and I probably created I've always been pretty bougie, but she's bougie now. And so is her mom. I say that too, because it's true, but I created a lot of that stuff because that was the crutch. Is like, hey, if I had to spend too much time at work, it's like, hey, we'll just go shopping tomorrow. Or, hey, what do you want? What do you want for, what do you want for Christmas? It's like, oh, I bought a brand new, a brand new vehicle. Like, we had one child and their mom was like, I want one of those big Nissan Armadas. They're new. I'm like, shoot, girl, I got you. Like, bloop, like, let's go. We got one kid and you need a 7-passenger sucker. And it's like, what in the world is going on? But I was missing out on time with my daughter. I was missing out there. And it's like, this is how I made it okay. And it was okay for the time being, but may not have been okay now that I look back 17 years ago, 18 years ago. So to me, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say, I think the pendulum shifts.
Yep.
Like when I was 20 something and I was grinding and hustling, all I knew was the example of my dad. And my dad was a hunter and a gatherer. And so the only way to make that work was to go out there and slay, like go out there and get all the meat you can get and then put it up for the winter. Right. The older I got, the more I understood human dynamics and family dynamics. Then I started saying, wow, you know what? Maybe I need to spend more time in the family. And so again, I didn't know that I was doing anything wrong now, looking back at my younger self. So I would answer that question totally different from being 50 than I would from being 20 or 30. And so, yeah, there's a lot of regret. And a lot of times where I'm like, my wife just punches me in the gut, since it's a PG show, right? She punches me in the gut.
Not anymore.
I gotta go. And most of that is because like you're fooling yourself. Like I was stroking my own ego. I was serving everyone else's family.
PG show.
Yeah, hold on, slow down. I was serving everyone else's family and neglecting my own. And so those are the regrets that I have. I wish I had spent more time playing Barbie or sitting on the floor playing Uno.
Something you said, Devo, reminds me of my favorite quote in the world by Muhammad Ali. And of course, I'm dog ass tired, so I'm screwed up. But essentially, it says something to the effect that a man that looks at the world the same as at 50 as he did at 20 has wasted 30 years of his life.
True.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, well, look, we spent this first part of the conversation on the climb itself, and I'm going to tell you, I need somebody to teach me how to juggle, keeping with the circus theme. And I need to hear from the experts. So now that we've kind of defined the climb, how do we develop priorities and be able to make these shifts in the balance so that we now can really be focusing on our spouses or our significant others or our children? How do we mesh the two? And I don't know if it's you get to a certain place and you decide, hey, priorities, I'm missing time. My kids are getting older, or I've got, some, things that I've missed to the point where I'm done now. So let's kind of shift this to, now that we've made the climbs, what's the priority in making the kids the priority?
Yeah, I'll jump on that.
Say, Matt, take that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, because obviously I got older kids now. Jeremy, I have a 27-year-old, a 24-year, or 25 now. Good Lord, and a 21-year-old. So, and I'm like, Doc, I was in the military, and then out of the military, I was a government contractor for a while, and then I was a air medical pilot, and I was working, and I would travel quite a bit with obviously deploy travel and all that. And so
travel.
Well, I meant when I became a contractor, I was traveling down to Jacksonville and still working the V-22 and stuff. But I had to find a way to, when I was home, I was gone so much, and when I was traveling so much. And so you really had to find a way to focus and spread your time and spend that time with the family and the kids. Because I was gone. Right. And sometimes I felt like I was an absent dad because I was always, out of the way, but I needed that relationship and building that relationship with my wife and with my kids. And so it's no different now. I mean, I think you have to take the time to pour into your kids and to pour into your wife because, especially where you guys are with younger kids, I can't get it back with mine. Right. I have to do it differently now, but I had to find the time to make sure I was pouring into them when I was around and when I wasn't around on the road, still pouring into them and making them feel loved and needed and that their dad was there and all of those different things. And so it is finding that balance and still grinding at the same time,
Hey Matt, I'm gonna do a quick pause because I want you to hold on to that because I think there's a question or a theme in the chat that'll bring it back to what we're talking about. Somebody had asked the advice that you would give a dad who chose to miss out on the things in the past, and now there's this disconnect with the kids. I mean, you kind of had this continuum with yours to get to the point where that relationship stuck the dismount. But what about in that situation where it was by choice to miss out?
Yeah, that's a hard thing if it's by choice to miss out. And so now I step into, counselor role, because, being a counselor and it's, it's finding, they have to have that connection. You have to have that connection. You can't force a man or a father that is an absent father to be a father, unfortunately. And like let's go back to show one. Remember show one that we had and that quote that I put out that, there's how many fatherless kids there are in the United States of America. It's actually extremely sad. And so, again, you can't force it, but you also have to find a way to kind of hopefully get them involved. And that comes into what we'll be talking about, with Josh coming up here in the co-parenting thing. And having that good communication and opening those doors to communication and getting that father involved because this is important. It's important for the kids. And I hope that from this show that we're going to be able to reach some of those fathers in the long run to let them know how important their kids are to them.
Dude, I'm reading the chat and I'm going to give it back to you, Josh, but I don't know, but I'm wondering what degree or what level of vulnerability has to be involved with, because that father is going to have to be vulnerable and strip away some of the ego and, and be willing to fall on the sword, ask for forgiveness. Because I don't know, in the case of the person who put the chat, how old are the children? Are we talking about still tweeners? Are we talking about adult kids? Is that level of how to approach them may have to be changed? Because this person may walk up on a grown child and they might cuss them out. Real talk. My father, great man. And I said I would never really talk about him on the show, but we had a little bit of a rift when I was in college and stuff for some just ego tripping. And there was one moment where he was literally in Boone playing golf with his brother and a pastor, a friend of theirs. And I didn't know, but my mom had told me that he was there. And, I had some choice words and stuff, and it didn't splinter the relationship, but it was like, man, you come on, you this close to me and you want to go play golf, whatever. So to the person on the call, there's a little bit of humbling that I think would have to take place. And, because you never know how that child is going to react to their parent who may have missed many things in their life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to jump in real quick here too, and I apologize for running my mouth a lot tonight. But
you don't ever have to
okay,
apologize, Devo.
Apologize, Devo.
Josh needs to apologize, but you're good.
When I was trying to talk, we're gonna have some words. No,
hey, but no, like this is me. Like I'm not divorced. Thank God, by the grace of God.
Yet.
However, I do believe I did some harm to one of my children. And so I think there has to be a incident, a situation, a conversation to make that dad realize what he's missed out on. Because again, we're just bullheaded. And we only have this much thought space, right? So there has to be something else that intervenes or bumps up against our noggin to get us to see what it is that we're missing. Because again, and I don't want to speak for all men, but I can speak for this one. And I think a lot of times we really believe like we're doing what's right. We're out there grinding. Like I thought just because I kept some meat in the refrigerator and because I kept the lights and the heat on, that I was doing it. Like I was making it happen. And it's not that. And again, I've shared this before, you know, as a principal, I would come home and still try to be the principal. But my children aren't necessarily my students in that sense of the word. And so I think it takes a lot of just influence. I think it takes a lot of conversations. So now when I deal with my kids, I try to ask, what do you think? And shut up.
Listen.
Shut up. Quit trying to give my opinion or what I think they need to do. You know, I need to sit back. I need to listen. I need to hear them. And then I need to act on what is being said. You know, not what's up in my head, because our kids, like, our kids are so smart. Like they develop into like little human beings. Believe that or not, they do develop into little human beings, and they have their own thought processes, right? And so they're not us, and we have to respect that, and we have to make sure that we speak into that and we flourish that instead of trying to stifle it or smother it and not ever let it breathe.
Well, I'll tell you, yes, it was worth it. Back to the question earlier, but now I'm all in 100%. As a matter of fact, being all in is the reason why we had to change the night of the show. Because
for sure. Yeah.
Liam has baseball practice, and that's important to him. And if it's important to him, it's important to me.
Yeah. I think that's.
Well, you ain't got nothing else going on now that you're retired. So I mean, except for Wednesday night. So,
brother, I tell you what. Number one, I wish that was the case. I'm busier now than I ever was when I was at.
I was gonna say every retired person, or is like, I'm gonna go start working part-time or I'm retired. Like I'm busier than ever.
I got so many irons in the fire, and I love it. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, I think, and back to all of that, of the grind and the push and the climb and all of those things, when you get to a point where you feel comfortable enough to figure out the schedule, and not just the time schedule, but hey, how much can I grind here, fit that in the schedule? And Devo, you talked about, so divorced myself with my kids, and the biggest thing, and we'll talk about it, obviously co-parenting, but communication has got to be huge. That's a big thing with Matt that I have learned with Matt Matt and I've known each other for 2.5 years now, 2.5 years, something like that, is just a communication. And you can have a relationship with your kids. You can have a relationship with family, or you can have people and not be in the same household, a good one. It's not going to be perfect as if you were there, but you've got to be intentional with the conversations and the communication. It's like Matt and I, again, Tish has messed up our 76 phone conversation. But if I don't talk to Matt tomorrow or Saturday or Sunday, or I don't get a text from him because Tish has got him doing something and I think we're breaking up or something, and we pick up on Monday, like, yo, like Matt knows, like I text, yo, like that means like, are you free?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Call me something. But it's that, how can you figure all of those things, figure it out and grind and still do all that. But intentionality is huge. You got to be intentional with work. You got to be intentional with communication. You got to be intentional with your kids, intentional with getting everything done. And that's how I think that's how we're built. The good Lord built us that way. And, I pray a lot. I'm like, okay, God, like, you guys don't know. Jeremy doesn't know that. But some of you guys don't know. Like, I don't sleep. Like, I'll go to sleep at like 11:30 or 11:45, and by 1:30, I'm wide awake, ready to roll. If I knew Matt was awake, I would text Matt. That's not awake though.
Matt likes to sleep.
Sitting there waiting for 7 o'clock. Okay, 6:59.
It's like me on the sneakers app. Like, is it 10? Can I buy it? It's like, is it 7? Can I text Matt? But I'll come down and I'll just start working. Like, I've had clients yell at me because they'll get a quote from me or a response from email like 2:15 in the morning. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just working. I'll take a little nap on the couch, or I'll take a little nap in my car, like during the day. But that for me works. like give me that 10-minute power nap, or like sitting here in my house and I'm like,
laugh all you want, but I'm right there with you, man. I don't sleep a lot either. So 2 in the morning, you need to talk, hit me up.
If Matt's not available, you always got Doc.
Yeah. Now I know.
Don't cheat
Now
on
I
me.
know.
Hey, Jeremy, Jeremy, I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick. Juggling
Yeah.
101. Teach me how to juggle. Define the priority for me. If we had to put you on the spot, work, spouse, child. How would you prioritize? And I'll throw that up to everybody. Work, spouse, child. You got baby girl. How you gonna prioritize?
I know what I want to do. I don't know if I always do it that way. For me, it would be spouse, child, work.
Okay.
Because if the spouse thing ain't healthy, the child thing's probably not going to go the way I need it to go. Right.
Yeah.
But she's 3 right now, so I'm her hero. So not always my wife's hero. So unfortunately,
I resemble that.
Facts.
You can call Josh now.
oh, Josh.
Bro, I got you. Whatever. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
You don't
No,
wanna
I
take
think,
the
man.
ball,
I mean,
will.
here's my prayer every day. Literally, I pray I want to be successful at 3 things, and work isn't one of them. I want to be a disciple, a follower of Christ. I want to be a husband, and I want to be a dad. That's what I pray to be successful at.
Yeah.
Work would be 4th probably for me, right? Work's important to me. Don't misunderstand me. It's an important part of what I do. And, and I like to work, but at the end of the day, you know what the saying is, right? Like, you're laying in a hospital, you're dying. Nobody from work is showing up, but your family's there.
Nobody.
So I want to take care of that. I want to guard that.
Hey, I want to jump on this question. I think this is
question.
excellent question. I absolutely love this, and I've watched a couple of things on it. And and this is worth talking about when we're talking about the women's side of the house. And if anybody's the one watching that's a woman, you can put in the chat. But it's different. It's different for the women than it is for the man. A lot of times. And I would agree with Jeremy. Mine is my wife. Well, God first, my wife, and then my kids. But I think in most cases, for a woman, it's your kids, and then it's you, or it's even their parents. If you throw the parents in there, sometimes they will go, well, my parents are important because they gave me life and all that. And now this is a later show and a later thing to talk about. But when you're young and you have kids, Jeremy, sometimes that's hard to deal with, because when you have 1, you have 2, you have kids, and all of a sudden, there is nothing more important than a wife than her kids. Sometimes you feel like you come second. And I know, Eric, you and
or third or fourth.
Or third or fourth. And that is a thing. You have to keep that marriage strong and where it needs to be, So I mean, I agree with you, Jeremy. It's Tisha first, Josh second, my kids third. I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
No, it is Tisha first, then my kids.
Listen, y'all, I'm top 5. I get a lot of people top 5.
That was funny, though. That was funny. No.
Josh, you better carve out your position.
Right.
brother. Carve it
I'll
out.
go ahead and
Listen,
be
the
the.
kids, listen, the kids are watching. Tisha's watching. I'm at the top 5. That's why I was at Thanksgiving.
I'm going to be the odd duck as usual, and I would say it's kids first, spouse, and then nothing else matters after that. And the reason is, well, there's a lot of reasons. My wife is Filipino, so there's a huge cultural difference there, where everything there is kids first. So we're both on board with that, and as long as we take care of the kids and make sure that they've gotten all their needs met, and then if we can do some niceties for them, we will. But the kids are first in our family.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Devo, what you looking like?
So, a coworker of mine shared with me, like, probably 15 years ago. She told me that the way you treat their mother is the way that they're going to engage in their relationships. And so that's just always stuck with me, right? And so I always try to, and I don't get it right every time. I'm gonna have to be completely honest. Put their mom first, like put her first. God first, right? He trumps everything. But mom first, kid second, and work probably fourth. But I don't know what third is, but we just gonna
Gosh.
Me third, Tebow. I'll be your third, bro.
It ain't
Oh, it's
Josh, I
Eric.
promise you that.
It's Eric.
Eric is the third. Dang. I'll be sixth, man.
It's all good.
But no, I want to acknowledge Anthony real quick. He put something in the chat that just says, without a relationship with your child often leads to rebellion. And I think that is so true. Again, I think that speaks exactly to my situation where just always trying to come home and be the principal and it just don't fly. Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to pour into your kids and you got to make sure you continuously cultivate that relationship.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give mine in as we transition to what we call the University of Hard Knocks. Keeping with the circus theme, I'm calling this Clown Chronicles. my I guess that sacrifice thing really when you want to put a pin in it started in 2006 for me. I was living in Athens, Georgia at the time, and we got the word that my sister had been diagnosed with cancer, and at that time, to know me, I was all about flossing with UGA, rocking with anything dealing with Athens. I was 10 toes down.
Garbage.
Look at you. And we just flipped a guy from Alabama today. Yeah, by the way. But I just everything, my whole existence, I thought it was going to be about life in Athens because when you're trying to make that climb in athletics and you get in the SEC, boom, you've made it. At least that's what you think. But I'll never forget a really, really good friend of mine who's bossing at Virginia. Was my boss at the University of Georgia, and I'll never forget this. She was handing me a contract or a pay raise, and I was handing her a resignation letter. At the same time, it was kind of like one of those. It's like, what are you doing? This has never happened. But then she gave me some really good wisdom nuggets that follow me still to this day. But that in that instance, I had to make this sacrifice because I knew that by coming back home. Was going to, as we knew, be the last few months with my sister before she passed in 2007. But what happened is that she had a chance to meet Aaron, and it felt like the baton was passed, where she said, "I took him this far, and you take him the rest of the way," and they passed that baton. So Aaron's been following me everywhere we've been and stuff, and then we're in Delaware. And fast forward to 2015, she's got this opportunity that's sitting in front of her. Now, she's not a risk taker at all. She's risk averse, and I'm the one. Like, I'll apply for 10 jobs, get 9 rejections, waiting on that one. And she's like, "Nope, not even gonna put my name out there." And we had this one opportunity that came up, and I was like, "You're going to do this. It's time for you to shine. I'm going to take the back seat." And I felt it was her time. And she did all the sacrificing for me. It was time for me to do it for her. And so lo and behold, it led us back to North Carolina. It led us to Greensboro, where she is now, and she's a boss. And it was that sacrifice and being able to make that career shift to say, it's not about me. I've ascended as high as I want to go right now. I'm going to hit a plateau. And I kind of believe, and I'm not going to say this, anything I did or whatnot, but I'm not necessarily where I thought I would be right now if I stayed in athletics and ascended to athletic director. But I'm darn glad that I came here to give her that opportunity, because it's just to see her do the things that she's been able to do. And now I think coming full circle moment and what I'm doing now that is leading me with a lot of time to pour back into the kids. Some of that stuff just might have been divine.
Yeah.
And so I think that when we talk about the order of importance, it's God first to get the compass. When you get the compass right and say, "Lead me, guide me," everything else will flow into place. And then, but not only to get the compass right, but it's also to listen and hear when he speaks, so you don't miss out on a, "Hey, sit down, it's her turn. And now you're going to follow," because this is not just about you. It's about both of you. And I didn't create you just to bless you. I created y'all to be blessed so you can bless many. And so that's kind of that order. It's God and wife. And because I was intentional with God and wife, we've had the blessings are the 2 kids. And that's the blessing that comes from the obedience and whatnot. So that Clown Chronicle thing, it's just a matter of just shifting gears and just being intentional about hearing from God that it wasn't my turn anymore, and I'm okay with that, and so I'm good. So that's the thing. So we're gonna shift. We gotta getting close to wrapping up. But look, man, I'm thinking as we're staying within this whole theme of the climb and whatnot. Y'all remember that show, Ricky Bobby, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, Talladega Nights? So
You ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, so
Take and bake, baby.
So I'm talking this thing as we wrap up. I left a ticket at will call, but will they show up? And if you think about that, when he would leave that ticket for his dad, every place he raced, and his dad would either show up and not really be there or not be there at all. We're talking about career climbing, making sacrifices or not. How do we make sure that we're not Ricky Bobby's or that we're the dad, the absentee dad? So how do we commit? What types of commitments should we be making? Should the folks out in the atmosphere be making so that we're not tickets at will call and no one showing up?
Yeah. Hey, I'll say making yourself present for your kids and your wife. But if we're talking about kids, you got to make yourself present. And I'll say this, again, I've transitioned to I have older kids and they're out of the house, right? So being present means something different now. My girls talk to their mom all the time about things. But I know, for example, and my son talks to me about stuff, but he still goes to his mom. But I know, for example, when my phone rings, I need to answer it because when my phone rings, there's something behind it normally, right? And so I need to make myself present in whatever way it is. And now it's a little bit different than it used to be. But I used to do the same thing back then. When I was here, when I was home, when they were home, I was present. And it goes back to what you guys said. It's those lines of communication, and it's what Devo said and what Josh said. It's being there and listening when they need you to listen. And if you're not opening yourself up to take in what they're trying to say to you in whatever way they're trying to say to you, I mean, again, your kids are different, right? So you have to look at your kids and say, well, what's going on with them? Is it just a look, right? Is it what's going on with them? If you look at them and you can tell something's wrong, or is it the way they're trying to say something to you? But be present, whatever that present means at that time and in life. I think that's so important.
Hey, Matt, I called you the other day. Remember?
I'm glad you're going to talk about this because I was trying to lead you.
I was looking at the thing and I was like, man, I don't want to jump in front of Jeremy, but I want to give him the final word. But I called Matt the other day because I was so excited about the things we talk about when we can actually live it out and come back and tell each other. But the kids had another delay, 3 in a row. And so they're sitting up there getting off the Zoom. And I was getting ready to go to work. I had, taken a call and I was like, well, I finished the call. I'll just sneak on out and get on to work. But I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to go upstairs and put my eyes on them so I can kind of see how they're doing and stuff. And so I went upstairs and I checked on my oldest. He's just sitting there, mayor of Summerfield, just doing what he's got to do. He's all good. I went down the hall to check on my youngest, and I see that he's, really intentionally looking at the teacher. She's about to say goodbye to everybody. And I'm like, there's a lot of kids laying in the bed. Like, I thought you're supposed to, be up. Like, even though you're at home, you still got to look like you're present. But anyway, he's sitting in there. She gets off of the phone. I say, hey, buddy, you good? He's like, no, Dad. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing. And so my mind was like, God, man, I got to go. Good Lord, But I was like, what do you mean you don't know what to do? And he said, well, she told me to do such and such, but I don't know where to go. And so I literally said, okay. And I took my jacket off. Matter of fact, I texted my managing director and said, I'm going to be a little late right now because I got to put the elementary ed hat.
Dad, gotta be dad.
I took the jacket off, laid it down on the bed, and I sat down, got him to log in, and I said, show me Friday's work. And I saw that there were 2 assignments that were missing. And I said, let's get it done. And then I said, let's go to Monday. And there things were missing. We had to get it done. I think 2 hours might have passed by, but when I was getting ready to leave and I grabbed my jacket, he came and hugged me in my hip and held me. He said, thanks, Dad. I love you. And I was like, I love you too, bud. And walked out. I called Matt. I said, Matt, man, you would never believe this, bro. And I said, and then that crazy that the tonight's conversation was going to be about making sacrifices, or if you don't, what kind of imprint that's going to leave on your kid. And so I'm full just by, pouring into my youngest because of what he was experiencing. And when Matt says sometimes you got to look at them, they tell you things in silence that if you're too busy, you're going to miss it, and it can have a lasting effect. So this assembly of brothers assembly.
I gotta say something. I'm so glad you picked up on what I was saying, because I was talking to you, and you did. You picked up on what I was saying, and you told the story. I didn't want to call you out, but I wanted you to tell that story.
You're my guy. I'm gonna throw it back to Jeremy now, because I stood in front of you, but man, I just had to get that off my chest because it was real, and it happened just as ironic as the theme tonight.
Thinking about being present, I've always struggled with being present, Matt. I'm listening to you talk about it, and even when I'm here, sometimes I'm just not here. And so I was thinking about, does the physical space matter if I'm traveling, or whether I'm here? Might not matter in some ways if I'm here but not here. So I've really tried to become intentional. I think there's, in my life, two things that have really revealed how selfish I am. Number one, getting married revealed really how selfish I am. And number two, having a child. And my little girl's adopted. And I'm not doing this at a young age. And so, I'm about to enter the second half of life, which gives me a whole different perspective on having a 3-year-old, because I realize I've only got so much time. And I read a statistic that says about 80% of the time you spend with your child happens by the age of 12. And so I'm trying to really zone in on that, man, and just like capture that while I am still her hero. Maybe I won't be at 15. Maybe I won't be her hero. I hope I am, but I've had nieces. I know the crazy stage and what that can look like. So really trying to make the most of that, man, and just, make sure that if 80% of my time spent with her happens over the next 9 years now, that it's quality. Kids spell love Time. That's how they spell love. And, so I just want to pour in, as much as I can. I've done the career thing, bringing it back to the whole career thing. I did that earlier in my life. I think in some ways I'm glad she didn't come into my life when I was 30. While I had all the energy in the world, I don't think I was cut out to be a dad. And I think I was still too full of me. So I think, that making those sacrifices, I think is critical to, and being present, as you were saying, is a sacrifice at times, right? And you were talking about Eric, like, hey man, I just really want to go do this right now. Do you really need me? But yeah, the answer is yeah, they need you. So, and they need you when they're older too. For those that have older kids, they still need you. I mean, I lost my dad when I was 27. I'd have given anything to keep him longer, or to have a dad step in at that point, man, because I still needed plenty of dad advice going into my 30s. I can promise you. So I think no matter what the age is, I think Time still applies.
Yeah,
100%. Great answer.
Damn, speechless on that one. The quality time spelled Time. I'm going to use that.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to use that.
Doc was confused.
Yeah, man, I've been spelling that shit wrong my whole life.
Hey, Matt, Devo, Josh.
It's a 4-letter word, though, Doc. You should be able to get it.
right. You should know that one, Doc. It's 4 letters.
Hey guys,
I don't math on days that end in Y.
I gotta tell you, the chat's on fire, man. We've got some great followers that are getting into that professional dad podcast, and it's pretty cool to see some of the things that folks are saying. We can't do this without you, and so we really are appreciative to those that come on to listen to some of the things that we do when we're rambling off. Like I said, we don't have a lock on perfecting the juggling, but it's really cool to see the chat blowing up with inspiration and just some vulnerability. Some folks are talking about some things that are really happening in their lives, and so we're really proud that we could have brought a little something to you, Matt. We might have to put this back in rotation later in the year to kind of do a part 2, see if we get it right. But I certainly am glad to join the call with the Assembly of Brothers that we got on tonight. Matt, I'm gonna shift it back to you and Doc to close us out.
Well, I think we ought to go around and just let everybody get their last little spell on it, on what they think. I mean, this is an important topic, it really is. And, everybody get their last little spin, and then go ahead.
I'll go. You said something, Eric, about the time, like, hey, Dad, just come here. And we're looking at the watch. And I'm sure we all do that. And everybody watching does that, male or female. But us dads, really, it's like, all right, is it the career? Is it the time? Is it whatever it is? And one of the things I started doing a couple of years ago, and it's coming back to fruition now with my son, is if he was with his mom, I would always text him at 7:30. No matter where I was, I would set my alarm for 7:30. Or I was in Vegas a month ago, and I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. I set my alarm for 4:30, and I woke up. Hey, bud, just want to let you know, have a good day. I love you. Whether he read it before he got to wherever he read it before he went into school, whether he didn't, whether he got it after practice or whatever. And he had to be told that. Like, I just had to say, hey, man, I said, and I don't know how the conversation was. My son and I have a great relationship. So I'm like, bro, when I was texting you before school last week or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever time it was, I was in Vegas. And he's like, oh, cool. I'm like, bro, it was 4:30. I'm like, I'm waking up to text you. Not anything on me, but just so he knows the intentionality of it. And now if I'm rushing in the morning, do my morning devotions and get ready to get out the door, if I forget or I leave that alone, he's the one texting me. That right there to me is like, okay, I was saying something. He didn't always respond to me. And listen, I can have an ego, or I can, have all those things. I'm
Really?
like, bro, really? Right. But like, you have your phone with you all the time. We all do. You're 14. I know you're looking at my text. Why the heck? You had 30 minutes before school starts. Why the heck are you not texting me back? And I said something to him like, man, do you even look at your phone? Because when you're with me, you're on it and snapping and, doing all the faces or whatever. Why don't you text me back? And he's like, well, Dad, sometimes I just not want to be on my phone before I go into school. So once we figured that out, and then if he doesn't hear from me, it's like, hey, Dad, just want to say I love you. He texted me earlier tonight. He's like, hey, I got practice from 5 to 7 tonight. How was your day? Or if I don't text him after practice and he's texting me, that right there, the intentionality of time, what you're talking about, Eric, or a little bit of a text, just being present where he's like, I ain't heard from Dad all day long. Is he okay? Like, bro, if you don't hear from me, something's wrong. That goes back to something like that. You don't have to be present physically present to be making an impact, as long as you're intentional.
Devo.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, all this is just resonating with me. I'm looking at the chat as well, and I think Anthony says something that's pretty poignant, and it's like, be interested in what they are interested in. And this is a struggle for me. Like, sports is like my everything. And so I'm like, hey, you want to go to a game? Hey, you want to go see the Heels play? Hey, you want to go to the arena football game?
Yeah.
Hey, let's go shoot some pitches. And my kids don't like any of that. I think they take after their mama, right? Because I think she planted that seed. But
it's another topic.
Even if you have to fake it, I think it's so important to be interested in what they're interested in. Like, and yeah. And this is something that Anthony does well. Like, I can't tell you how many times I came over his house and he got like a little pile of Barbie dolls sitting in the floor in the living room, right? And he just sitting there brushing hair too. And I'm like, ooh. and so, like, that is an example for me, like, to get it together, brother. It ain't about you. Like Jeremy said, learning how to be a man, learning how to be a father, learning how to be a leader. Like, selfless, dying of self. I used to have a preacher use 10 minutes all the time. I'm like, and I ain't trying to learn. So yeah, we have to die to self, and we have to serve the people we are put in charge.
Man, wrapping it up a little bit, I think about when I watch the Hall of Fame inductions, and it seems like every inductee comes up and says, "This game I love." And it gave me a lot of opportunities, but the one thing it did is made me sacrifice the time that I could have been spending with my family. And I thank my family for allowing me to do what I love. And so we have to give ourselves a little grace because we have made sacrifices, we have grinded, but at the end of the day, our families are resilient. They love us, and they give us a little bit of that grace. But look, we hope y'all will come back and tune in next week when we're talking about co-parenting, not just if you're, child divorced parents or whatnot, but it takes two to co-parent. And so we're really excited.
Sometimes it takes 4.
So we're looking forward. Josh, you got to bring it. You got to bring it.
Oh, Hey,
I-
what's the was that the movie, the cheerleader movie, like it's already been brought in? We bringing it next week for sure.
Hey, we're excited to have Jeremy with us this week, man.
Absolutely,
we really
Jeremy.
appreciate you
Yeah,
coming
thanks,
in
Jeremy.
with us,
Enjoyed
chopping it up with this group, and you just keep grinding, man. It's a long road. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Let's keep being great professional dads. Until next week, peace.
Go see you.
Hey, find your tribe, find your community. Get involved.
I will say
baby.
one thing before we punch out of here. Remember, the advice that we're giving you is great, and it's all learned from tough lessons. There's no rule book. So, with that being said, be sure to tune in every week, comment, like, and subscribe. And with that, we'll catch y'all later.
We'll see ya.